Hello and welcome to Songs for the Struggling Artist, the blogcast. This is episode 411. My name is Emily Rainbow Davis. Thank you for listening. Today's blog is kind of back in the more struggling artist territory than I've been in a little while. Other things have sort of captured my attention. But this is old school Songs for the Struggling Artist vibes. It's funny because when I wrote it, I was like, oh, one of these, I don't know, blah, blah. Haven't I written this before, etc., etc. And then when I put it out, like several people were like, oh, that's just what I needed to hear. So, sometimes it's a good reminder to just go ahead and write it, even if it feels old hat or something. Anyway, let me read it to you. It is called Tips for the Rejected from Someone Oft Rejected. A friend of mine was recently rejected for a job, and it stung a bit. They're someone who hadn't often had the experience of rejection, having mostly done their own thing, where they needed no one's approval but their own. Honestly, I think this person is better off without this job they were applying for, but I sympathize with the pain of rejection, particularly when it's for the first time, really. As someone who has been rejected hundreds, if not thousands, of times, I thought I might help ease the sting a little bit. Number one, it's not you, it's them. When I was a young actor doing a lot of auditioning, I kept trying to imagine what the auditors wanted and tried to provide it as best I could. I imagined they wanted a particular kind of Juliet, so I would try to be that kind of Juliet for them. If I didn't get the job, I'd assume it was because I did not do a sufficient job giving them what they wanted. Then I became an auditor, and in casting things, I realized how much I wanted everyone to just be who they were. And if I liked them and they weren't right for the role, I'd look for places to put them that were a better fit. Sometimes someone was fantastic and I just couldn't find a place for them. And sure, sometimes they weren't great, but someone else might think they're the greatest, so you never know. Someone not choosing you is 100% about them. You could be the most beautiful, desirable breed of dog in the pound, but that family is dreaming of a funny-faced mutt, and they won't choose you. It's not that you're not a good dog. Those people just had other priorities. You did a good Juliet audition. They just want a different kind of Juliet. Number two, that job may have never really been open. In theater, sometimes people have auditions for roles that have already been cast. In academia, they often advertise and interview lots of people for jobs that they designed for someone in particular. So no one ever really legitimately had a shot. I'm sure this happens in other fields as well. Folks put on a show of fairness and open opportunities, but it is mostly an illusion. Number three, don't take it as a judgment of your character, your talent, your skills, or abilities. It's easy to feel like the fault lies with you, that you fell short in some way. But even if it were true, which I'm guessing it isn't, it will do you no good to think that way. My list of rejections is very long. I have applied for hundreds of grants, prizes, residencies, writing programs, directors groups, acting jobs, creative schemes, jobs, festivals, and more, and I am rejected from most of them. Is it because I'm terrible and I don't deserve any of those things? I hope not. I don't think so. But even if I were terrible, even terrible people catch a break sometimes. Tell yourself whatever you need to not take on whatever judgment you might be imagining that committee, that board, that auditor, that creative team, that hiring office might have been making about you. It's not you. It's them. Number 4, sour grape it. You know that Aesop fable about the fox who decides the grapes he could not reach were sour? I think we're supposed to shake our heads at that fox and know he's fooling himself. But I suggest using him as a role model and start fooling yourself. If you don't get the job, it was not a good job. If you didn't get the grant, it was probably an onerous reporting process. There's no reason to think about how good those grapes would have been if only you had reached them. Tell yourself they were sour and find some tasty grapes you can reach. It's not a moral about that silly fox fooling itself. It's a lesson in how to take a loss and keep going. Good job, fox! Find some other grapes and keep trying. I wouldn't suggest doing this out loud to a lot of people necessarily, as you probably don't want to alienate the people doing the choosing, just in case future opportunities are in the balance. But on your own, at home, those grapes would have been disgusting. Number 5, take a licking, keep on ticking. Mourn, grieve, allow yourself to feel the hope hangover. Turn off all the lights and cry in the dark. Have a grade A pity party. You're allowed to feel sad. When you're done, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. I bet you can guess what song I feel like I have to do here. Yeah, it's going to be Pick Yourself Up. And it was not easy to learn, I will tell you. But I did it because, I can't quote a song in the blog post and then not do it, I feel. I suppose I could, but it feels against the purpose and the spirit of this particular podcast. So very shortly, I will play for you Pick Yourself Up. I also made reference to a song that I wrote a few years ago about a rejection that I had. If I remember the order of events correctly, I think I wrote the blog post and then was like, oh, what am I going to do for the song? And I was like, well, you know what? There needs to be a song called Hope Hangover. And so I wrote it. I think it went like that, or it could have gone the other way around. Couldn't be sure. But I am sure that this podcast is the reason that song exists. So if you want to hear that blog post and that song, just search for Hope Hangover in your podcast app. Within the Songs for the Struggling Artist would probably be the easiest way to find it there. And if you just want the song, is there a way to get that to you? I don't know. I'll explore that. If there's anyone who is like, oh, I would like to purchase the song, please let me know and I'll see what I can do. So that's what that was a reference to in the midst of this blog post. The Hope Hangover was a particular moment a couple years ago. So, my levels of rejections are a little bit lower in the last couple of years because I just haven't been applying to as much stuff. And there are fewer opportunities as well. Like there's a lot of, contests or, writing submissions or, various things that are just closed down. 2020 really did a number on the performing arts. So, so I am not in the midst of a massive rejection experience, but that is entirely because I have not been applying to so many things, which I should be. My goal is to get more rejections this year. Anyway, so thank you so much for listening. If you like this blogcast, please tell someone about it. Like, review, subscribe. If you would like to support it with your dollars, that would be amazing. Patreon.com/Emily R. Davis. I am figuring out what the heck this new Apple situation with them is all about. I think things will stay the same. I just haven't been able to like really get my head around what's happening. So if you are curious about that, so am I. Anyway, that's Patreon, but there's also Ko-fi, there's PayPal, there's Substack. If you would like to become a paid member at Substack, you could do that. You'd be the first, and that would be cool. There's also any place else that you support artists, and I would love to join as well. You know, the more I can spread it around, I feel like the better opportunity I have. So if you have a place you're like, hey, I support people here, tell me about it. Thank you. And thank you, all of you, for your ears on this podcast. So, moments from now, I will be playing you Pick Yourself Up, which was written by Jerome Kern and Dorothy Fields. I am most familiar with Fred Astaire singing it due to my possession of a double album of Fred Astaire songs as a youth, as a teen. I must have, I don't know where I got that album, but I listened to it a lot. So I am well influenced by one Mr. Fred Astaire. There will be no tap dancing in this particular version of the song. My tap skills are not that good. I can flap. Don't get me wrong. I can do a little, but not enough to add to the percussion of a song. So it is a pretty short version of this song. I was not aware of quite how short it was as I was recording because there are a lot of chords in it. But in fact, it is about the length of like a commercial, a long commercial, but a commercial. It's a commercial for picking yourself up, dusting yourself off, and starting all over again. So hopefully, maybe it's a public service announcement. Anyway, I give to you now with all my hopes and support for you not having to have so many rejections wherever you are, whoever you are. It sucks. It's hard, but we soldier forth, and we almost all deal with it. So, for you, for anyone, here is Pick Yourself Up. Nothing's impossible, I have found, for when my chin is on the ground, I pick myself up, dust myself off, start all over again. Don't lose your confidence if you slip, be grateful for a pleasant trip, and pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Work like a soul inspired, till the battle of the day is won. You may be sick and tired, but stick till the job is done. Will you remember the famous men who had to fall to rise again? And pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start all over again. Work like a soul inspired, till the battle of the day is won. You may be sick and tired, but stick till the job is done. When I remember the famous men who had to fall to rise again, I take a deep breath, pick myself up, dust myself off, and start all over again.